Thank you. So when Meta designs products, building for a good user experience is key and central to our product decisions. Part of that user experience is considering how our products impact people around the users, who we call bystanders. The comfort of bystanders is essential to both societal and regulator acceptance of new tech, and therefore the product success. So how do we build with everyone in mind, including bystanders? Today, I'm going to talk about our Ray-Ban Meta glasses and wearable products. By wearables, I mean technology that is worn on the body and has a range of built-in technology, which can include sensors, cameras, microphones, like AI glasses or a smartwatch. So as you know from Meta, our long-term vision for the category is true AR glasses, which provide a digital overlay on a user's view of the world, thereby augmenting reality. Right now, it's a really, really exciting time as recent breakthroughs with AI have accelerated our progress. So when we launched our first smart glasses 4 years ago in partnership with EssilorLuxottica, they were primarily a cool, hands-free way to take photos and listen to music. But now, our glasses are the best device to experience AI. With their sleek form factor and convenient on-the-go access, AI glasses can assist with features like live translation in a foreign country or answering questions about what we're seeing. Beginning with Ray-Ban Stories, we've used a capture LED light on the glasses to signal when the user is taking a picture or video. As the functionality and use cases on Ray-Ban Meta AI glasses have evolved, so has our approach to bystander signaling. At the core of this evolution is the issue of how we can introduce new capabilities without risking signal fatigue and understanding what is most important for bystanders' awareness. So as I said, smart glasses have introduced a novel combination of traditional glasses and photographic capabilities, offering a hands-free way to capture a moment so people can be more present with friends and family. In addition to bringing joy and value, the form factor introduces an approach to egocentric data, which gives us the ability to power our AI and AR vision of the future. So it's critical that this form factor is accepted. How do we do that? There is a growing awareness and expectations around what glasses can do. More and more people are becoming aware of cameras on glasses, but there is still work to do to help people understand when and how they might be recorded by AI glasses. Ultimately, the goal for our industry is to prioritize awareness of wearables capabilities and adopt a shared approach to bystander signaling. So the more devices take on a standard approach, the more people will understand and will help regulators and society feel comfortable with their capabilities. So with that context, let's share a little bit of history. So let's go all the way back to 1900, where we have the introduction of the Kodak Brownie camera. As far back as then, society grappled with how cameras can impact expectations for privacy and consent for people who may appear in others' photos. These questions compound when camera technology shows up in new ways, like when the camera phone debuted in 2000. Both with the Brownie and cell phone cameras, there was fear about discreet photography in unsuspecting places. And while this still is a risk today, we know that the camera phone is a core part of our culture, and there is a robust public understanding that a phone can take photos and video. And that's true even without a shutter sound or visual indicator on our phones, which previously alerted people to a photo was taken. But now we have social norms. For example, a lot of places, like a comedy club, for example, may have strict no phone policies to prevent recording, and some even physically seal your phone into a bag before entry. A lot of stores, art galleries have no camera signs, and they really do enforce against people taking photos. And I've been at a few weddings recently where they have announced and requested that all phones be put away for the ceremony for no pictures, so that they don't have images of everyone holding up their phone while taking pictures of the bride and groom. So what this history suggests is that glasses and wearables are just a new iteration of this evolution of visual capture that people are still getting used to. And we understand that for new tech to be successful, we have to move into an era where cameras are expected on wearable devices. Like cell phones, it's time for us to this is going to take public awareness to change. And we've invested in helping this transition take place. So just like camera phones, we expect that with widespread adoptions, people's understanding that cameras can capture images and videos, and the norms will develop naturally as a result. At some point, we may not need to signal at all, the same way camera phones are able to drop their shutter sound. The signal's not the goal. The goal is shared bystander awareness. So when we first launched this technology 4 years ago, a key design consideration was to leverage known cues associated with the capture of photos and videos, and people are still learning about wearables that take photos. So we invested in a public education campaign. In 2022, we launched an EU awareness campaign that aimed at educating bystanders about what smart glasses are, how they work, how to recognize them. We explained that wearers may take photos and videos using voice commands or gestures, and how to tell if the cameras are on capturing images or recording. We also shared guidelines for responsible use of the glasses on the RBM website, which you can see here, and explained our signaling approach through a publicly available white paper. And my personal favorite example, this year we ran a Super Bowl ad for Ray-Ban Metas. Okay, they didn't focus on the bystander light, but it was visible in the Super Bowl ad. So I want to talk about our framework for how we've come to the decisions that we've made. As part of our work, we leverage input from numerous experts across the globe who specialize in privacy and XR technology to advise us on our approach, including our Reality Labs Advisory Council, which is a group of external experts that advise us throughout product development. We engage with experts early and receive feedback on our approach throughout the development process. Based on these engagements, we have set out a framework for criteria and considerations to design for bystander signaling in the most comprehensive way in the industry. Here's what we've heard from the experts. For a signal to be helpful, it should be 4 things. Consistent, which means it happens every time. Perceivable, people can see it. Communicative, it actually communicates something. And it's unobtrusive, which means it's not overly annoying or distracting to bystanders or users. Okay, so I'm going to take a picture. Did it work? Yep. But there are trade-offs. For example, we need to balance the need for clarity with the desire not to be overly distracted. In particular, the signal must maintain its value by avoiding over-signaling, which is too often or inconsistently, or overloading, which is different ways, which makes it hard to understand what is happening, which would mean many different lights, many different colors, many different patterns. That would just be too much information we've heard from experts and from stakeholders. So based on research and evaluation, we arrived with our overarching criteria guiding our approach. Visibility. How well can people see something's happening on the glasses and that it can involve them? Interpretability. Can people understand what's happening on the glasses may involve them? And 3, social comfort. Are people comfortable being around the signaling, and are users comfortable wearing the glasses with that level of signaling? Through robust testing and research, and through feedback from privacy regulators, we are proud to have developed an effective LED on our 2nd generation AI glasses that fit this criteria. So on visibility, on the Ray-Ban Meta glasses, the capture LED is almost double the size as the original one in Ray-Ban Stories, making it easy to notify bystanders at a distance. The ambient light sensor can change brightness depending on different environments, adapting to different lighting conditions. It's bright in outdoor spaces up to about 12 feet and in indoor spaces up to 24 feet. On interpretability, the LED has a blinking pattern when used to take photos, videos, or stream. And finally, on social comfort, we have tamper detection built in, which was a big concern we heard from a lot of our stakeholders. So now if the LED is covered, the user receives a notification about that. So as I've mentioned, while our first generation of glasses, Ray-Ban Stories, focused on hands-free capture, listening to music and audio as our hero use cases, our newest capabilities of Ray-Ban Meta now have AI capabilities. For example, our AI glasses use multimodal AI, which is a combination of the first-person point of view camera, microphones, and speakers and connectivity, so that Meta AI on our glasses can see and understand the world around us, can interact, and can provide information. For example, when you're exploring a new city, you can ask Meta AI to tag along, tell you about the landmarks, or help you get ideas about what to see next. Maybe have it design an on-the-go walking tour for you. Or if you're at the grocery store, you can talk to Meta AI as you walk down the aisles to help you figure out what to make based on what you're seeing. Maybe if that sauce you're holding will pair well with that recipe it just suggested. Eventually, our devices will run AI for longer and longer. Our long-term vision is AI-powered, and the AR capabilities are something that we and our customers are super excited about. So now, as we transition into an era of AI-centric glasses that assists users over extended periods, we are entering a new period where cameras are used both by the user and by computer vision for AI, leading us to consider whether the new AI capabilities call for a change to our signaling approach. In short, the biggest problem we're trying to solve is how do we introduce these new capabilities without signal fatigue? Here are the factors that are important in how we think about this. What do people want us to signal for? When talking to our stakeholders, we've heard the concerns have not changed. The top issue continues to be user-initiated active capture of bystanders, where those images are then stored and are shareable. In other words, active media capture, where the user is using glasses or their glasses camera to stream or capture media for their own photo gallery with the intent to save and share. This is by far the #1 concern of bystander awareness on AI glasses. But as we've also heard, over-signaling is a real issue. The capture LED needs to be useful in signaling for people's biggest concern, or else it risks losing its value. If the capture LED signals too often or for things that may not be relevant to bystanders, this negatively impacts interpretability for bystander and social comfort for the users. This is especially true as the AI will be enabled for longer and longer periods of time and for more and more use cases. We've heard that there's a key difference between the camera being used with the intention of capturing and saving and sharing images compared to the camera being used to perform a contextualized AI query on an image to help meet a user's need. Like when a user asks, "Hey Meta, what am I looking at?" I'm looking at a laptop screen presenting me text and a room full of people. So the camera is required to help Meta AI see what's around to answer the question, but the user's intention is not necessarily to store or share an image of what we're looking at. We've discussed this distinction with privacy advocates. There's a difference between a user capturing images for purposes of sharing versus images that are necessarily processed for an AI assistive capability. Signaling anytime an AI assistive capability is on, just because it leverages the camera, is not as relevant to the core concern for which we're trying to solve. Turning the LED on here may ultimately dilute the strength of the signal, especially as AI sensing capabilities can be on for upwards of 30 minutes a session. We believe we should maintain our focus on signaling for active capture. When a person prompts glasses to stream or take a photo or video that will become available in that person's gallery, a signal that is continuously on can lose its value if people become habituated to it over time, including the capture LED. In other words, we risk bystanders not noticing the LED and not realizing when active capture is happening. So in future hardware devices, we're fine-tuning the technology to ensure that the glasses LED signals only when user-initiated photo or video capture is happening with the user intent to share or store, not just when the camera is in use for AI-assisted features or where the user needs images for contextual help in the moment. There will be overlap, though. For example, if the user wants to create a reminder where the AI takes a photo or a video at the direction of the user, and that video or image is stored and viewable by the user in their Meta AI app, the capture LED will signal when the person prompts the glasses to stream or take the photo, or to take the photo that will later become available in their app. We are also investing in additional product solutions to protect against bystander privacy risks raised by the camera-based AI capabilities. For example, when people use glasses and camera for AI features, we'll take steps to protect their privacy, like removing key identifiable information. We are continuing to invest in other ways to improve the effectiveness of the capture LED for active media capture, including enhancements to our tamper resistance technology. So this is what happens if you cover up or tamper with the LED. Signaling on device is only one way to set privacy expectations and only one way to raise awareness. We also need to be proactively setting social norms, have public education campaigns, and think about how the industry presents what user behavior looks like. All of these have a role to play. So for Meta, we have conducted user research, engagements with experts around the world, and we've incorporated their feedback in order to innovate responsibly and to thoughtfully bring new technologies to market. I've given you an overview of where we are in our thinking today, and we'll continue to innovate responsibly as things change in the future, including as AI glasses continue to grow in popularity and in awareness. As I've mentioned at the top of the presentation, our goal in sharing our thinking and approach at AWE is to share what we've learned in exploring this issue with the industry, leveraging the work that we've done. Ultimately, our belief is that the industry needs to continue to prioritize public awareness of wearables and to adopt a shared approach to bystander signaling on glasses and form factors with similar capabilities. We must innovate responsibly as an industry and show that we can come to a uniform approach so people are not confused by differing behavior on differing devices. Otherwise, the pressure to regulate can suffocate the industry. We'll also be publishing an update to our first white paper on bystander signaling with more detail on our thinking around AI capabilities, which will be available later this year. And thanks for your time. And with that, I think I have about 3 minutes to answer your questions.
I wonder if maybe signaling might be the wrong way to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm wondering if maybe signaling might be the wrong way to think about it, because there's an implicit assumption here that we can't get people's consent, so we're just going to tell them when we do something they don't like, and they're going to have to evacuate themselves from the area if they don't like it. But I think we can solve the consent problem. I think we should be thinking about how to actually obtain consent to be photographed. And given all the great generative AI that's being done right now, you could imagine a system that by default either removes people, blurs people, as Google did for Street View, but adds them, keeps them if they're consented. If you have their permission, or they're a friend of yours, their family, there's somebody that you have their opt-in consent, then photographing works fine. But if you don't have the consent, the default is they're blurred or removed or even replaced with a doppelganger that's not them, but something generative AI comes up with. That kind of solution would be more in line with, I think, most people's expectations of privacy, that you want to ask them their permission as opposed to just tell them.
Do you mean for the AI signaling or even for active capture?
I mean for mostly for active capture of photographs that might be shared, but in the case of AI signaling, the question is not so much there's nothing really nefarious about using the photo with people in it for AI, unless you're doing something based on their identity or
Right.
storing the photograph in such a way that, say, law enforcement could later obtain it from your servers, or it might be used for machine learning against someone's permission. So there are some AI cases that we care about, but mostly it's about the publishing of the photos.
I think that's a really, really interesting perspective, and I do anticipate that as we keep going and as the generative AI capabilities keep growing as well, we can look into creative solutions like that. I think there is a bit of a danger I would want to think about how like the Brownie, we got from the Brownie camera to the cell phone camera to the smartphone era, all of whom were concerned about the exact same thing you're mentioning about bystanders having their photos taken without being aware of it. Making sure that we are again evolving in a way that is consistent with how we've evolved and not overly giving on restrictions simply just based on form factor would be something to think about. But I do love the creative thinking, and I would love to continue thinking about that. I think that's a really, really great point. I think I have less than a minute. No, I'm being told to wrap it up. Thank you all for your time.